Okay. All right, guys. Make sure if you guys have any questions about anything, uh, leave a comment. Leave a comment in here. Leave a comment on Twitter. Anything really, and I'll try to eventually get to it for sure. So I'm gonna give it a few more minutes, see if more people want to join, and then hopefully we can get started. Give out two props. Uh, talk through them. Talk through the props, and then I'll screen share and show you guys how I research what my process is like. And yeah, so it should be good. Hopefully you guys can maybe learn something. I'm gonna try to start doing that a little more. And obviously it's going to be using Props Madness. First question, Dammy 8, thoughts on Yabusele rebounds. So that was an initial look for me too. I know that Drummond and Yabusele, Drummond was maybe even like in the doghouse a little bit. But last game, so Embiid didn't play the second half. And if we look at like the second half numbers, Yabusele started it. He played like 4 minutes the whole half. And then Drummond played 16 minutes. So they actually went like a little small ball. I think it might have been a little bit of garbage time maybe. But it was a little bit concerning to me that Drummond did outplay him 16 to 4 minutes. So I wonder if Yabu's even going to start. I'm sure Drummond probably is going to start at the center. The Hornets do have two traditional centers that they're going to rotate through them with Nick Richards and Mark Williams. So yeah, it seems low at 5.5, but I don't think it's like the case where it's like Yabu's like the starting center. He's going to play 30 plus minutes for sure. So I would probably just tread a little bit carefully with that one personally. Okay, waiting for a few more people to join and then I'll start. Oh yeah, so usually I'd definitely be doing this. Obviously, as you guys know, it's like a group of us that like to do this stuff. We're still figuring it out. It's kind of tough because Ozbets, he lives in Australia, obviously. So the time over there is like way different than here. Like I believe that he just went to bed like a couple hours ago because it's late as hell. And then with JJ and Sammy, they're West Coasters. I'm Central Time, so it's 6:30 a.m. for them. It's 8:30 for me. So we're working through things, but for now, it's just going to be me doing this at this time. And hope you guys enjoy it. We got 50 people in here, so I think it's time to start. Remember, guys, any questions, make sure to leave them on YouTube. It's easier for me to see for sure. Or you can comment them under the Twitter thing, but I'm just on Twitter desktop, so I don't really get notifications from that. Yeah, make sure just to comment any questions you guys have. All right. All right. So getting started here. First prop of the day. I'm going with Keegan Murray over 20.5 points, rebounds, and assists. Minus 115 at bet 365 is the best current odds in market. But my reasoning behind this Keegan Murray play. So Denver, they put Jokic at the level in the pick and roll, which Sacramento does a ton of, obviously, with Sabonis set in the screen. But for Monk, Fox, even DeMar DeRozan, they put Jokic at the level. This leads to them allowing the fourth fewest points per game to pick and roll ball handlers. And as a result of that, obviously, if you're like putting someone on the ball in the pick and roll, you're going to leak spot ups. Denver, they allow the 6th most points per game to spot ups. Keegan Murray has a 36.4% spot up frequency. Keegan Murray also scores 29% of his points in transition. Nuggets are allowing the 8th most points per game via transition. Oh, just dropped my phone. So with Malik Monk, De'Aaron Fox, DeMar DeRozan, Domantas Sabonis, with all those guys active. Sabonis, he's averaging, or not Sabonis, Keegan, he's averaging 23.5 points, rebounds, and assists in those 17 games. So it's like kind of a low line. I mean, this is 20.5, good hit rate, good averages. And then like I decided to throw rebounds and assists in there because like obviously, like if Denver's forcing spot up players to shoot because of how they're defending the pick and roll, he's just gonna like touch the ball more. So he can either shoot it himself or maybe there's like a extra pass to make for a better shot. And yeah, so I just think that the ball is going to end up in his hands a little bit more. So I think it's good to include assists in there. Then, like with rebounds, Keegan's been really good on the glass this year, but I mean, Sabonis is just going to have his hands full guarding Jokic a ton. I would assume Keegan gets put on Aaron Gordon, who isn't much of a floor stretcher. So yeah, I just think that other people might have to help out on the glass. I think it's best to just include all the stats up in there for Keegan on this one. I'm about a screen share now. This might be a little bit funky, but yeah, you can see my StreamYard right there. Someone should definitely let me know in the comments if you can see this. I hope you guys can. Hopefully Prop Madness is on screen. And actually, I can't check because I don't have Twitter downloaded. I'm gonna just trust that it's screen sharing, okay? Like can someone actually in the comments just like say right now if it's screen sharing or not? I would greatly appreciate that. Someone could say if you could see the Props Madness screen. It's screen sharing? Okay. Appreciate you guys. Okay, so let's go over to by the way, this is Props Madness. My buddy Pips, I believe he made this. It's an amazing product. I would be absolutely lost without it, and I'm not even partnered with them, but I just really do think that this is a great product. Anyways, we're going to Keegan Murray, right? So obviously you can see all the prices here. Odds have not moved since, which is nice. But yeah, let's go. Obviously, make sure that all the guys are in. So we got Fox, DeMar, Sabonis, Monk, like the four main guys who are going to affect things. Like I said, straight up graph PRA, averaging 23.5 in this sample. So that's great. Hit rate 11 out of 17. That's great for sure. And then if we just go to points, we can see like the play types and stuff. So Denver, like I said, 25th against spot ups. That's what Keegan does. What I like to do too is, like, yes, we know that like Keegan scoring 32% of his points via spot up. What I like to do is, so I'm on transition right now. This is the NBA website. Just search up like NBA player play types. Whenever I see a team, like a defense that just like leaks spot ups, you got to go here. I go to player play type spot ups, offensive. Go to team. Sacramento. Obviously, we want to like Denver gives up a lot of spot ups. So let's see the frequencies at where people are shooting. So Trey Lyles, he's out. Keon Ellis, obviously, it's probably a good matchup for him too, but he doesn't really play much. He doesn't have props out right now, so screw it. Keegan, he has like the most possessions by far, the highest frequency, and then like Kevin Huerter. You could make a good argument for him in this spot too. He hasn't been very efficient on a points per possession basis, but I like to chase volume. Keegan's a good player. He hasn't been great this year. He's been missing a lot of shots, but yeah, look at that shooting percentage. Not great. He's a good shooter. I think he'll regress to the mean eventually and stuff. But yeah, like look at the main scorers. Like Fox, he doesn't spot up. He has the ball in his hands. DeMar DeRozan, ball in his hands. Malik Monk, he does a little bit. Ball in his hands. Sabonis, obviously he's not a shooter, but yeah. So you just like look at these guys. Obviously, like Keegan kind of has the best matchup. You can tell that right here too. But I tweeted this out the other day. Sometimes a good matchup can mean a bad matchup for your opponents, and sometimes a good matchup for someone, if it's a good matchup for like all the teammates, like that's really not an edge, because when you're betting a prop, when you're betting it over, you kind of want like a good share, like a good market share of the shots. And sometimes that won't happen if it's like a good matchup for everyone. But Keegan's like clearly the spot up guy. And a lot of these guys, we go over to like Fox, pick and roll ball handler, very reliant on scoring on that. Opponent defensive rank 4th. Go to Monk, like very reliant on scoring through being a pick and roll ball handler. Let's go over to DeMar DeRozan. It's going to say the same shit probably. Yeah, a lot of that too. So yeah, when you just like look at it, just like it's clearly like Keegan. And then when you're betting a prop, you like don't only want a good hit rate. You don't only want a good matchup. You want both of them, right? At least that's what I do. I think like you need to have a good number, be betting a good number and a good matchup, and hopefully not a great matchup for everyone. Just check out all the boxes. And yeah, I think this one does for Keegan for sure. So going back here, that's the first play. Keegan Murray, over 20.5 PRA. Best odds are at Bet365. And yeah, that's going to be the first play. So next play, is Evan Mobley over 26.5 PRA, minus 115 at DK is the best odds out there for that. The best odds are actually at Prop Builder. If you guys don't know what that is, I highly recommend that you make an offshore account either with Bovada BetOnline. They are very good with limiting, especially if you're just like a $100 better and you want to get $100 down. I know it can be tough getting down at like sports books who are quick to limit and stuff, especially if it's like earlier in the day like it is right now, or if you bet overnight lines and stuff. Even you can bet overnight lines at prop builders, like offshores and stuff. So highly recommend you guys make offshore accounts, to be honest, and use prop builder. But anyways, Evan Mobley over 26.5 PRA. So why I'm rolling with Evan Mobley, with 20 or more minutes, he has like a game where he got hurt in there and a game where they won by like 50, I think, where he didn't play 20 minutes. I'm going to assume that he plays 20 minutes here, right? I mean, he's like a starter. He's like a very good player. Like he should play 20 minutes. One thing I do want to say though before this is like, if you're going to be like using like minute filters to justify a bet, I would highly recommend like you be realistic with it, right? Like when you're betting unders, like there's a lot of like weird stuff that can happen on a night to night basis where it's like very justifiable. It's like if I like filtered Mobley to like 28 plus minutes, it's like, yeah, like he could easily play, like he should play 28 plus minutes for sure. But like, there's just like a lot of like weird stuff that can happen on a night to night basis in the NBA. Like he's a big man. He can get into foul trouble. Like that's not surprising. A blowout could happen. I mean, it could happen here. It's like it's the Cavs Nets. The Nets don't even have Schroeder anymore. So, yeah, I would just say like when you're like researching bets, don't like try to like nitpick stuff and like try to be realistic. Just know that there's like a lot of range of outcomes. So yes, I'm using a minute filter on this one. It's only 20 plus. Like he really should play 20 plus minutes every night without some crazy shit happening. So, anyways, with 20 plus minutes. With Garland, Mitchell, and Jarrett Allen all active, Evan Mobley, he's over this line in 14 out of 20 games. He's averaging 31.6 PRA. Like I said, this is a 26.5 line, so like he's very, very comfortably over this. They already played against Brooklyn, the Cavs did, and Mobley had 40 PRA against the Nets, and that was his second highest PRA total of the year. We'll get to this in a little bit with the screen share, but it's a tough matchup for Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell. The Nets are like super aggressive in the pick and roll. They allow the fewest points per game to pick and roll ball handlers, which obviously forces them to pass it to guys like Mobley, like Allen in the short roll, like Okoro, Wade, whatever. If a team's allowing the fewest points to pick and roll handlers, it's like they're forcing them to pass and make other guys make decisions, take shots, stuff like that. So love seeing that it's a tough matchup for Mitchell and Garland. The Nets, they allow the fourth most points per game in the restricted area. Obviously, Mobley does a lot of his scoring in there, most of his scoring. Mobley scores 20% of his points via cuts. And that's something that like I know I used to struggle understanding because cuts, it doesn't like there's not a team ranking in points per game allowed to cuts. But if you use some common sense here, right? Like just like a little bit of common sense. Where do you cut? Like cuts are to the basket. So if you're scoring off of cuts, you're scoring at the basket most of the time. So obviously cuts lead to shots in the restricted area where like the Nets allow the fourth most points per game. Mobley scores 20% of his points via cuts, which is like the most, his most used play type. Scores 16% of his points via transition. Nets allow the second most points per game there. 16% of his points via free throws. Nets allow the third most free throws attempted. They foul a lot. I do like that the game is in Brooklyn. If the game was in Cleveland, like I just think that is much more likely to be a blowout, right? Like if there's like a bad team versus a good team, which we have here, like at least like the bad team's at home, right? Which helps maybe get us some fourth quarter minutes here or gives us a better chance at that. And yeah, just like it's like a low line for Mobley. It's like he missed a game. He did miss last game. It was against the Wizards. He had an ankle issue. They were at home against the Wizards, I believe. And it's just like the Wizards are the worst team in the NBA mile. If someone's dealing with any sort of minor injury, it makes sense to rest him. So, and the fact that he was listed probable right away, he missed one game. It could have easily been like more of like a rest type thing just because the Wizards are so bad. Like you don't need Evan Mobley to beat the Wizards. So like I said, I don't expect any sort of minute restrictions. Obviously, yes, he could play shitty minutes because they're playing a shitty team and they could blow him out for sure. But yeah, it's in Brooklyn too, which I like. So I'm about to do the screen share. Got a quick comment. Hi, what's up, Juvio Grace? What's up? Okay, let's get into the screen share. Okay, going back over here. So we're on Keegan Murray. Going over to Cleveland. Evan Mobley. Okay, so it looks like that move. Like I said, prop builder, best odds for sure. -107, 115 bet 365, -115 MGM. Okay, yep. Yeah. So with Mitchell, Garland, and Allen. Okay, and then we're gonna do the minute filter because there was some shitty games. Let's see, advanced filters, minutes. Okay, 20 plus minutes. Like I said, he's averaging 31.6 PRA in those games. 70% hit rate, 14 out of 20. That's all great stuff. All great stuff. Good. The game against the Nets, if you can see that right here, dropped 23, 19, 16 rebounds, 1 assist. Second highest PRA game. Obviously, he went stupid against the Hornets recently, but yeah. And then going down here, like I said, Mobley, 68% of his points are in the restricted area. Opponent's defense, 27th. They rank there. They allow a ton of stuff in the restricted area right at the basket. Player points, cuts. Like I said, 20% of his points he scores via cut. Like I said, this one's tough to read at first. It says NA because they don't like put them in order on the NBA website. But like I said, it's a cut. Like I said, we've been hearing this since we were young as hell. You cut to the basket. Like you don't cut to the perimeter. I don't think. I think you're coming off a screen if you're moving off ball. So that would go under off ball screens, which obviously Mobley doesn't do. So it doesn't say anything here, but that's a play type. Said cut to the basket. I believe that most of the shots off cuts are definitely coming in the restricted area, in the paint at least. Transition, Nets are awful in transition, ranked 29th there. Free throws, they foul a shit ton, 28th. Like I said, so spot ups are very correlated, kind of like going off the Keegan Murray play. But spot ups, if you don't allow a lot of points to pick and roll handlers or in isolation, really, which they're okay in, but if you're not giving up points to pick and roll handlers, you're giving up spot ups most of the time. So Mobley does spot up a decent amount. Yeah, Nets are 20th there. Yeah, so they are tough against pick and roll man, but that's actually a lot worse for Jared Allen. I guess they kind of help the helper. Jared Allen's a very good passer out of the short roll, so that's actually another interesting angle. Yeah, but 5th fewest points per game there. If we go to Jared Allen, yeah, he's very reliant on scoring as a pick and roll man. So that's another positive for Mobley. He's not. Mobley isn't, but Allen is. And then going off Garland, obviously he's a big scoring threat. He does damage in transition for sure, but pick and roll ball handler, Nets are literally number 1. They allow the fewest points per game there. Garland, very, very reliant on scoring through there. Same with Mitchell, very reliant on scoring through the pick and roll, number 1. So yeah, just like same thing like that. A good matchup cannot a lot of the times be, obviously you want it to be a good matchup based off of like it being a good individual matchup for sure. But yeah, sometimes like I don't think it's a good matchup for Mitchell. I don't think it's a good matchup for Garland. Even Allen, you could argue it's not a good matchup for, even though Allen definitely scores a lot of his points in the restricted area, but a lot of it's coming through the pick and roll man, which is not something that Brooklyn's been pretty good at limiting. So yeah, if we look at all that stuff, good hit rate. I don't think there's a minute concern. Obviously, blowout that can happen in any game randomly. You can't really control that. But yeah, great hit rate, great averages for Mobley. I think it's a great matchup too. So all that stuff factored in. I just think that Mobley is in a good spot, and I think we're getting a good line. I think it's too discounted. So I'm gonna stop screen sharing. See Evan Mobley over 26.5 PRA, -115 DK. Like I said, guys, got a lot of you guys in here. Make sure if you guys have any questions, just leave a comment, leave feedback for sure. Hopefully you guys are learning something from here. Hopefully you guys are becoming more educated bettors, using more tools. using Props Madness. Like I said, I don't even have a code. I just love this tool a lot, and I think that you guys definitely should get some Props Madness subscriptions going. It makes betting super easy. All right, well, I'm going to go back to screen share. Like I said, if you guys are just joining here, Evan Mobley over 26.5 PRA was the first play. Second play, Keegan Murray over 20.5 PRA, minus 115, bet 365. All right, screen share. We can just start going game by game, see what some good matchups are and all that stuff. Screen share, sweet. All right, let's start off Philly and Charlotte. I did a little thread on this. There's not a ton of stuff out for this one. LaMelo Ball is back. You can go to the injury report. LaMelo. Hornets injury report. Kind of doing this on the fly. ESPN's Hornets injury report, I've noticed, is like not accurate. So I always use a CBS. So LaMelo, he's a game time decision. I believe that he practiced and is expected to play. His props are listed. They're only going to list Hornet stuff. I'm not going to waste our time here. One thing I did notice, the only prop that's listed is LaMelo Ball, and he's for sure going to be on a min restriction, and the lines are indicating that as well. But if we look at Miles Bridges, let's see. Yeah, he's coming off missing a lot of time. LaMelo's missing a ton of time. These Hornets aren't trying to like win games necessarily and like make a playoff push. He's going to be on a min restriction. Like Miles only played 25. Maybe we get LaMelo around that too. So just don't fall for the trap of betting LaMelo at a super low line because obviously his hit rates are like ridiculous. So just don't fall to the trap in that. If you got to project it out, project his minutes, project his points per minutes and stuff like that. But the matchup here with Embiid's out. Shocker. Kind of feel bad for the dude at this point, but Embiid's out. He was playing in a deep drop, so these numbers would be lying. Because Embiid, he can't really move. He's a great rim protector. They're going to play him in drop coverage, obviously. And obviously that's going to make it a really good matchup for pick and roll ball handlers. That's not going to be the case. So this is like season-long data, right? And Drummond and Yabu have obviously been playing the center for them all year. This to me indicates I haven't been watching Philly much, especially without Embiid. But this data to me indicates that with Embiid out, Philly's going to be kind of playing up at the level a lot, maybe switching a lot against LaMelo, against pick and roll ball handlers. So I don't think that would be a great matchup for LaMelo here to score particularly. One thing I did notice, though, we're not going to be able to see it on Props Madness because the only prop that's listed is I know that Philly was allowing a ton of points per game to pick and roll ball handlers. So if LaMelo's in, whoever's starting at the center, which it was Mark Williams last game, I think it's interesting. I think his points or LaMelo's assists could be interesting. 6.5 is probably not a great line given he's only averaging 6.9 assists. He actually has a legit center though. A lot of LaMelo's games have been played without a center, so that definitely helps. Someone who can finish off of a roll. I'd probably stay away though. So yeah, all Hornets stuff. Just there's no point in wasting time looking at it right now because we don't have any props, right? On the Philly side of things, Maxey, I think Maxey's in a good matchup. Charlotte, one thing I noticed is that with Nick Richards in and Mark Williams in is that they do play drop coverage. So they literally, like I said, they haven't had a center for a lot of the year because Richards missed a ton of time. Williams just came back. But now they have two traditional centers. They're still playing, they rank 19th in points per game allowed to pick and roll ball handlers. And I think that's for sure is going to go up with Richards and Williams playing. So I do think that Maxey, PG, the two on-ball people, are going to have solid matchups here. If we look at the spot up guys, like KJ Martin, I guess is listed. Like the Hornets have been limiting spot ups already. So I really do think that this is going to be a pretty heavy drop coverage team, which means that if you're going to take an over, in my opinion, like it has to be on a high usage guy because Charlotte's good in transition too, which a lot of role players thrive in transition. So yeah, look at Maxi, look at PG. We could go to another great source, fantasylabs.com. Take Embiid off the court. You take Jared McCain off the court. If you guys want to look this up, first of all, go to NBA on off, and then just type in Fantasy Labs after. But Maxi, he's averaging 21 field goal attempts. Points aren't great. I just like to look more so at the field goal attempts. Like, I'd like to think that Maxi is going to be closer to like a 44% shooter, maybe like 35% from deep, because obviously with Embiid off the court and stuff like that, it's going to be tough to be efficient because you're going to receive a lot of attention. You're going to just have a lot of volume, and it's hard to be efficient with that. But so I think that Maxi's points are a little bit lower. You could look up Tyrese Maxey here, see what minutes he's going to play. Nick Nurse likes to ride Maxey. Yeah, he's been playing like pretty massive minutes and stuff. But yeah, if I'm going to be honest with you guys, Maxey, 26.5, I'd lean over for sure. But at the same time, I think the line's pretty well set, right? Like maybe it should be at 27.5. I just don't really see like a massive edge here. With PG, we can get into these numbers. Tyrese Maxey on the court, Embiid off the court, McCain off the court. He's only averaging 14 field goal attempts, 19.9 points. His efficiency is actually like probably a little bit higher than I'd expect, almost 46%. So yeah, maybe it's going to come back to earth a little bit. But to be completely honest with you guys, I think that these points lines with PG and Maxey are pretty well set personally. You could make the PG like last year, yeah. If you're going off of like what he was last year, this is probably a little bit low, but especially in the matchup that we should get drop covered and stuff. But I don't know, man. He just his knee seems pretty fucked up, and like he's got that big ass brace on. He just hasn't really been moving well this year. I think these lines are well set. We can go into some Maxey assist stuff, 5.5. There's some good plus money to the under, and something that's a little bit interesting is that Maxey per 36 minutes, like look at those assist numbers, 3.81. That is not great. PG's actually been passing the ball pretty well. But then if Maxey, one thing that's you want to keep in mind is with Embiid off the court, most of his assists go to Joel Embiid. If we put Embiid on the court with Maxey, he's up to 9.5 assists. It hasn't been many minutes, obviously, because Embiid hasn't played much. But yeah, like you want to back Maxey's points when Embiid's on the court for sure. So yeah, maybe a lean to over Maxey points, under assists, like a same game parlay could be a little interesting. But yeah, I think that the lines are pretty well set. Maybe under assists makes sense. Let's see. Okay, I'm on here right now. Like I said, guys, any questions you guys have, I'd love to hear them. Love to hear some questions from you guys. But we're gonna move on to the next game. Let's see, Miami at Detroit. Miami, I love betting against players against Miami because Miami runs like a very, very distinct scheme. So Cade Cunningham, we go down here, pick and roll handler 8th. Let's see, isolation 14th, spot up 26th. So yeah, guys, Miami, they have been, they will be always with Bam and Spo. They are going to be a spot up funnel. So what that means is that like you want to fade people, on ball people, star players, especially ones that operate through the pick and roll. Miami is also very good in transition, 3rd best defense in transition. So yeah, Cade, absolutely not. You cannot take the over here, not at all. He's averaging 23.6 points per game on the year. Let's see, like he's under in 12 out of 22. Strong lean to the under here. Very strong lean. I think given the matchup, given his points, given his hit rate, I think that this line should be 22.5 or 21.5. So definitely a decent edge here. FanDuel is already kind of adjusting to that. Some of the other slower books. I think so, guys. I don't give out props that are like only. So like there's only a few books that like are at 24.5, right? And these are like kind of like less liquid books except for Caesars. But if you guys do have Bet365 and you're not limited on that, I think that under 24.5 points is like a great bet. Like look at this, just like based off his averages, like neutral matchup, this line should be 23.5. This is a bad matchup, like a really, really bad matchup. And you can get like great under hit rates. 24.5 Bet365. I'm not going to make it an official play because, like I said, it's not widely available. But this minus 125 price, especially, I would fully endorse this as like a 1-unit play for this. On the other side of things, so Miami, like I said, they're an obvious spot up funnel. Tim Hardaway Jr. does a lot of spotting up, but it's just easier to look at this stuff from this lens. So obviously you got to go to spot up, offensive, got to get a filter going. Team equals Detroit or Deet. Yeah, so the guys who spot up, Ron Holland, Simone Fontecchio, Tim Hardaway, Malik Beasley. Tobias Harris is out. I think that I'm not sure if he missed the last game. Let's check that here. I'm not really on top of this, like everything. Okay, he did not. He played last game. But Tobias, he's the only one on the injury report from what I can remember. We go to last game. I just look at the rotations. I would assume that Simone Fontecchio is a backup 4. I could be wrong there. But, yeah, Detroit at Boston. See what the rotations are kind of looking like. Oh, I went too far. Okay, so, Duran missed the last game, and he's probable now. Paul Reed got waived. Looks like, yeah, so Stewart started. So Duran will probably go back to the starting job. Tim Hardaway didn't play much. This game was a blowout, so that makes sense why you're going to play Tim Hardaway's old ass in a blowout. Ron Holland played a lot. I think that a lot of that was due to blowout. So, yeah, Simone's a spot-up guy. And if he gets a start, he could be interesting because he is definitely a spot-up guy. Tim Hardaway's a decent look. He's a spot-up guy. Malik Beasley, spot-up guy. So if you're betting it over, I think that it has to be on a Simone, a Malik, Tim Hardaway, just based off the matchups. I think that Tim Hardaway makes sense. I was very close to pulling the trigger. I think that over 1.5 threes makes a ton of sense for Tim Hardaway. With Cade, he's averaging 1.9 3-pointers made. Good hit rate, 11 out of 19. We could filter this down, guys. This is like a great tool of props madness. So defensive play type, obviously spot up. That's like what he's mostly doing. We could filter it. So Miami's the 26th. So he's the best matchup that they've played. We can filter out top 10 teams in defending spot ups, and then let's see the averages. It's up to 2.2. It's up to hit rates up to 8 out of 12. We can see he played Miami. He got up 4-3, shot 1 for 4. 4 is not great volume. I'd like to get 5, I think, and that makes it like a really good bet. Like I want 5 3-pointers attempted if for 1.5 lines, but 4 like gives you a decent chance. Played Miami again, got up 6. So yeah, I think this is a decent bet for sure because Tim really does a ton of spotting up. Most of his shots just in general come from the perimeter. I don't think Tobias Harris really positively affects his minutes, but yeah, even just straight points, 11.6 points per game against these spot up teams, like excluding the top 10 at defending spot ups with Cade Cunningham, 11.7 points per game, 8 out of 12 hit rate. Great matchup for sure for Tim for his volume. Miami's a good defense, but good defense for him. A miss, he shot 1 for 12, 0 for 8 for 3. So yeah, Tim Hardaway makes a ton of sense to me. I think that keeping an eye out for some Simone Fontecchio stuff makes sense. Go to Ivy. I think it's tough for him here. Transition, does pretty much does most of his stuff through transition, pick and roll ball handlers with Cade. I don't know, neutral stuff. Yeah. On the Heat side of things, let's see. Let's go to Jimmy Butler. Let's see. With Bam, with Tyler, Terry Rozier is coming off the bench. At this point, I don't think Rozier even really makes a difference. But the big thing where Detroit really just sucks at guarding is pick and roll handler, really bad through there, and pick and roll man. As you can see here at the bottom, they're 24th. So just basically whoever's going to be involved in pick and roll stuff, which is like Jimmy Butler, Tyler Hero, maybe like a little bit of Terry Rozier off the bench. He's mostly like a spot up guy when he's on the floor with any of those two guys. But yeah, so I think like hero stuff makes sense. With Jimmy and Bam, I guess 23.5 points per game, solid hit rate to the over. Obviously, it's a great matchup. I think that Hero's assists also kind of makes sense just because Hero's running the pick and roll so much. Same with Butler a little bit, but especially Hero. Hero's running the pick and roll a ton. And if you guys remember, like I said, Detroit, they're really bad at allowing points to the pick and roll man as well. And obviously, like, this is like common sense, but if the pick and roll man's scoring, right, like that's coming off of like the pass from the pick and roll handler. So I don't know. I think the Hero like points and assists could make sense even. What's this at? Yeah, 27.5 is that best price. Yep. Yeah, so he's averaging 28.5 with Bam and Jimmy. Hit rate's not great, but the average is great. And I think it's like a really good matchup. Let's see. They played the Pistons already. 9 potential assists, 19 and 6. So he fell a little short. He did shoot like shit. Let's see, what did he shoot from 3 there? Shot 3 for 12 for 3. So that's just kind of bad variance, to be honest. He hits another 3, goes 4 from 12 from 3, which is pretty bad anyways. Then he's scoring 22, having 6 assists, going over by the hook here. See, did they play Detroit again? I feel like they did, but maybe Jimmy was out or something. Yeah. Oh, Hero went crazy against Detroit. Oh yeah, I remember this game. Yeah, Jimmy didn't play, but he did drop 40 and 8. So yeah, this is definitely a great matchup for Tyler Hero. Jimmy Butler, bro, you just can't really fucking trust Jimmy, man. Like, you just don't know when he's gonna try. I don't like to bet on Jimmy stuff. I think that Hero, even Bam, I don't like betting on Bam though either, because I'm not a fan of Bam's offensive game this year at all. I think that his shot diet is way too much jumpers that he's just inconsistent with. But in theory, I do think that Bam is in a decent spot here as well. But yeah, Tyler Hero stuff interests me the most for sure here. Okay. I believe Harris got hurt. Any thoughts on Kelly Oubre under 14.5 points? Dimitrios said that. Let's see this. Kelly Oubre. Let's go back to that game. Philly at Charlotte. Kelly Oubre, 14.5 points. Like I said, when there's like significant injuries, guys, I one thing I really like to do more than anything is just look at the on-off numbers. So, okay, this is not what we want. We want Maxey on the court, and then we want, because if we put Maxey and PG on the court, then we're just not going to get a good enough sample size. So I'm not going to do that. Let's put Maxey on the court. He's the highest usage guy. He's the number 1 option. Let's do Embiid off the court and Jared McCain. Where's Jared McCain? Okay, these 2 guys off the court. Well, you can go look at Kelly Oubre, 14.5. Kelly Oubre. So 15 or 13 field goal attempts, 6 threes, around 4 free throws, 17 points. His shooting splits are probably pretty normal, 44%, 38%. Maybe a little more regression from the 3-point line because that's pretty high for Kelly. Kelly Oubre, how many minutes do you think we're going to play? Let's see. Kelly Oubre stats. Played 34 last game, 38, 35. So he's been playing a lot, and I believe Embiid and McCain have been playing the last 2 ones as well. Let's see. Go to game logs. Let's maybe check out like the second half for Kelly Oubre. That's because Embiid got hurt at the end of the first half. So you could do some second half pacing here. Oh, wow. That's great. So Oubre is 19.5 minutes in the second half. I think maybe you could probably project Oubre in for 36 minutes. The game should be close. These 2 teams are pretty equal, as sad as that is. Yeah, so these are numbers per 36. He's around 16 points, but I think, like I said, I think you can bake in a little bit of regression at the 3-point line. So he's at 16 points. Maybe that's like 15.5. The line was 14.5. And then, yeah, it's not a good matchup because they're going to play drop coverage. That's not good for spot ups. They're good in transition. I think that this is an accurate line. Maybe even slightly lean towards the under. But your question was under, correct? Oubre under 14.5 points. Yeah. I guess slightly into the under. I think the line's pretty well set though, because I do think that you could maybe pencil him in for 36 minutes. Okay, next one, Sexton over 14.5 points. Okay, let's do that. Let's just go to the Utah game versus the Clippers. Utah versus the Clippers. So we'll I guess. Okay, Demetrio. One thing I know I said this in my thread yesterday. I don't like betting on I don't like betting on players against the Clippers like at all because like look at this shit from Props Madness, right? So let's just click on Sexton, right? Because that's a player. Um, look at like the opposing defensive chart. Like, okay, they're just like middle of the pack, like slightly above the middle of the pack in like everything. So like they're not like a paint funnel, obviously. They're not a 3-point funnel. They're just like slightly above average, like everywhere. And then like pick and roll handler, like slightly above average, slightly above average, slightly above average. Like, yeah, they're just like tough. I don't know. They're a slightly above average defense and like everything. One thing that I have noticed, and this is just like a trust me, bro thing. Like I don't have any like stats to back this up, but I was watching the Wolves because I'm a Wolves fan. So I was watching the Wolves Clippers game, and like the broadcast brought this up, and like the Clippers like scheme against stars, and I think it's just like on a game to game basis. Like Tyler's just coming up with different game plans. They're not running like a strict scheme every single game. So unless these teams have head to head data and the Clippers won the game, I don't know like what to expect on a game to game basis personally. But I actually in this instance I think we do have head to head data. Let's see against. This is really cool. On Props Madness, they have a button that just says head to head. Oh, yep, and it makes it easy. So let's just go like look at this whole game from like a lens. Colin Sexton didn't play much, but Colin Sexton. One thing about head-to-head data, guys, is that I think that it's super. First of all, if it's not historic data, is like the worst shit ever. Like, please, guys, don't tail bettors who are using historic data from like 4, 5, even like 2 years ago, because there's so much turnover in the NBA like every single year. Coaching changes, scheme changes over years, personnel changes. Like it's just like literally irrelevant, and it's coin flipping. Like it's like the worst possible way to bet. And I see so much of it on Twitter, and it just like it's like terrible betting. Like even if you win the bet, it wasn't a good bet. So guys, don't tail people who use bad data because you're probably going to lose money in the long run. And yeah, and also don't use it for your own research because it's not helpful and it's misleading and it's just not good. Okay, so Clippers won the game, which is important because Ty Lue changes game plans. But if his team won the game, that means that the game plan worked, right? So maybe they want to implement the same thing. Laurie had 18 points. He played massive minutes. This is like Laurie only took 12 shots and 4 free throws. That's really bad volume. He was hyper efficient, still stayed under his 19.5 points line, played 39 minutes, which is like an absolute ceiling, right? Laurie's actually been pretty bad this year. 19.5s, I think, are a great under. Clippers, like I said, it's kind of like a trust me bro thing. I don't have any numbers in front of me, but yeah, I mean, under in 12 out of, or what is that? Oh, yeah, 12. I'm blind. 12 out of 19, 18.6 average. Clippers, they're known to scheme against top options. This is really bad volume for Laurie, man. 12 field goal attempts, 4 free throw attempts, especially with those minutes. There was clearly a scheme in place to slow down Laurie. And yeah, so I think that Laurie stuff, fading Laurie, makes sense. Anyone have good volume? Jordan Clarkson had really good volume, so. And I believe he just came back last game. I don't know if he has numbers out. Let's go to the Jazz injury report. Jazz injury report. Okay, Clarkson is questionable for this one. I don't know, guys. I would probably just like sit it out and wait. I think some Clarkson stuff could make sense. I mean, clearly, like they were cool with Clarkson just like going 1-on-1 at them. He had 7. He shot. He was super inefficient. And shot and had 21 points, only played 29.5 minutes. So, and I believe Clarkson, he came back from injury last game. Yeah, came back from injury last game. and played 30 minutes right off the jump. And he missed a pretty significant amount of time. He had it going for sure, but I think some Clarkson over stuff could make some sense here. Obviously, we don't have a number, but all right, guys, I'm gonna go to the Jazz or Clipper side of things, and mostly like the Jazz side of things. So the Jazz, they are just an awful defense. Like look at this chart. I guess the one place where they're okay is Walker Kessler is like a really good rim protector. So if someone's like super reliant on scoring in the restricted area, it's probably not the best matchup for them. Yeah, but so yeah, Jazz like they're a jump shot funnel. If you're like a shooter, you can torch the Jazz. The biggest thing though with betting against the Jazz is transition. So they're like the worst team in transition defense, and it's like not even close. So if we go to players, transition, offensive, click the filters, team, LAC, the Los Angeles Clippers. You in my opinion, if your player doesn't score in transition against the Clippers, like Zubac, Batum, bro, or against the Jazz, like you need to be betting. If you're gonna bet over, they have to be someone who scores in transition because, like, it's so bad that like players will score in transition and like they won't even get back for like an offensive set in the half court. So like it's got to be someone who scores in transition. So Terrence Mann's out, Derek Jones is out, I believe. Mir Coffee by a mile is like the biggest scorer in transition. I think he's coming off the bench and we don't have lines up for him yet. Oh, we do. Okay, sweet. Oh, 10.5. Okay, cool. Sweet. So let's quick look at this. So I believe last game was the first game without Derek Jones. First game without Derek Jones. And then Terrence Mann's out too. So that's like wing depth, wing defense depth that they're missing. So Amir Coffee came off the bench, was a -27. Holy shit. That's not great. Amir Coffee came off the bench. So the rotate, Ty Lue is like, he's not a very sticky guy. I know Chris Dunn was battling illness too, which kind of left him playing fewer minutes. Powell played less. Harden played less due to blood. Zubac played a lot. Obviously, he had to match up with Jokic there. Kevin Porter, I was on his under last game. That obviously did not win, as you can see right there. But yeah, we got like 12 first half minutes from Coffee, despite him not making a shot. I don't know. I think some Amir Coffee stuff could be interesting. So obviously, the two guys that if I'm betting an over, 2 maybe 3 guys that I would need to bet over on: Coffee, Powell, and Chris Dunn. And I think you could find decent minutes for them because like they're just not deep. I think that Kevin Porter on most nights, without blowout, without like them getting blown out, I think that Kevin Porter's playing like 16 minutes, just like 2 8-minute stints. Same Jordan Miller, Mo Bamba's just playing the non-Zoo minutes. Bones Highland, I guess we're getting worked in there a little bit. Maybe he even just played for 7 minutes because it was in Denver too. So yeah, like I think you can maybe pencil, like I think Coffee is like pretty trusted, and maybe you could pencil him in for like 26, 28 minutes. Batum's probably going to be around that 26 as well. Dunn, same with him. But yeah, so sorry, I'm kind of yapping. Yeah, let's see Amir Coffee because he clearly is like the best transition scorer here. He's like the guy we want to bet. I think like a safe minute projection. Let's go like 22 to 30. 22 to 30. This is a decent sample size. He's averaging 10.6 points in this sample. Slightly above average hit rate, but it is like a really great matchup. Spot up. The Jazz, they say the Jazz aren't good against spot up. They allow a ton of catch and shoot threes. I don't know how much I buy that. They allow so many things. Like they're allowing the third most 3-pointers attempted, and they're kind of actually tough on pick and roll handlers. Like they're not tough in isolation, which Harden does mostly, but fifth fewest to pick and roll handlers. Amir Coffee makes sense. Norman Powell makes sense just based off how bad they are in transition. And then Chris Dunn also could make sense. You're just going to have to go in depth a little bit more. But those are guys that make sense for overs for sure. Any questions? Cappers who use historical data don't have critical thinking. Yeah, I agree. It's not good. Oh yeah, Dunn's over. Yep, Dunn's over for sure. Makes sense. So yeah, guys, just like seriously, every time you see the Jazz, your first instinct should be player transition, player type transition. I can't even talk. Players play type transition. You go to team, type in the team. Literally just go to frequency. Whoever's up at the top, they should be the first look. Just make sure that you're getting a fair number. You're not paying a premium because then you don't have an edge. You need to have an edge. You need to have good number. You can't be betting a good matchup on a bad number. It's not a good bet. So, all right, next game, Denver, Sacramento. Actually, just since I talked about Keegan Murray and kind of broke down that game, I'm gonna skip that one. Same with Cleveland and Brooklyn. Spend some time there. So the last game we have to get to is Chicago at Toronto. Okay, I had some filters in for there. Chicago, they're like another one of these teams that they're so bad. they're just so bad against like everything. If we go over here, Chicago, they are. And by the way, what this is, guys, I'm just hovering over the Chicago matchup on the right, and I'm clicked on a Raptors player. Chicago, like they're 5th worst in defensive rating. They allow the most points in the paint. So whenever a team literally allows the most of something, they need to. If I'm taking it over, I need to take someone who's scoring in the paint a lot. Yeah, Bulls are like second in pace, like a lot of the second most assists, 3rd most rebounds. So some PRA stuff could make sense just given the pace, and a lot of stats will accumulate and stuff. So Quickly and Barnes are out here. So let's take out Barnes and Quickly. RJ Barrett with Barnes and Quickly. He's averaging 24 points, so we are kind of paying a premium. Like I said, I do like PRA stuff. 5 out of 10 hit rate, 39.5 PRA, 38.5 on Bet Rivers, the greatest book of all time. I think like this is like clearly a great matchup for Barrett, right? Like does a lot of stuff in transition, does a lot of stuff as a pick and roll handler, especially with no Quickly and Barnes. Bulls are like you don't want to bet out against Bulls, a spot of guys against the Bulls, just given that they're so bad against every other play type that they're really not even allowing. Like they're just, like I said, they're more of a team that you want to attack in the paint. So I would not want to attack Bulls with spot up guys. I want to attack transition guys, pick and roll ball handlers, pick and roll man, slashers, stuff like that. So yeah, and then if we go to Barrett's graph, 65% of his points in total are coming in the paint. So this is really a great matchup for RJ Barrett. Like given transition, given that he's going to be a pick and roll handler a lot here, given that like he actually fills up the stat sheet and get assists too. Like he's averaging 7.8 assists without Barnes and Quickly, 6.5 line. Guys, if I'm going to be honest, I have a mental block when I think about RJ Barrett and like a 6.5 assist line. Like, I'm sorry, I can't play that. like RJ Barrett is just, I don't think of him as a passer. I think of him as like quite opposite of a passer, actually, to be honest. So yeah, but just like being no bias, like taking all that stuff out of there. Barrett, I think that this line maybe should be like 40.5. So I don't see like a crazy edge, but it is like a great matchup for RJ. Same with Pirtle. Bulls are a great team to attack. Oh, sorry, I'm on Ochai. Great team to attack through the pick and roll man. Like they're the second worst against pick and roll man, actually. And obviously, pick and roll man, those guys are gonna score a lot of their points in the paint. And like I said, most points in the paint allowed. Pirtle without Barnes and Quickly. Somehow, I don't think of Pirtle as much of a scorer, but somehow without Barnes and Quickly, he's literally averaging 20.5 points, 6 out of 10 hit rate. But yeah, and one thing too is that 2 of these games were against the Kings, and if we go to opponents' points in the paint allowed, the Kings are literally like they allow the second fewest points in the paint. So we can just filter out just the Kings, right? So against teams that aren't first or second in the league in points in the paint allowed, which the Bulls are literally dead last, right? Even the Bucks are 7th. So we could filter them out too, not feel guilty about it, just because the Bulls are literally the worst. This is actually like a really, really good bet, to be honest. because Pirtle very reliant on scoring as a pick and roll man, very reliant on scoring in the paint. Pretty much does all this stuff there. Yeah, Bulls allow the most points in the paint, second most pick and roll man. Look at without Barnes. If we just filter out the top 8 paint defenses, right? They are literally 30th. So this is fair to do. He's averaging 24 points, 5 out of 6 hit rate. He's attempted, 12 shots, 3 free throws, 1 short. Pirtle's going to shoot a high percentage because his shots are very close to the basket. 30 points there, 35 points there. My gosh. 18 points or 18 shots, 14 shots, 14. This is a really good bet, guys. I'm not going to lie. Jakob Pirtle over 16.5 points, literally 16.5 everywhere too. So he only played 27 minutes last game, but that was because he was like weirdly listed as questionable and then didn't start and then played. And then, yeah, it was just weird. Jakob Pirtle over 16.5 points, guys. This is a very good bet for sure. Like I said, I kind of have a mental block too because like Pirtle I don't know. When I've seen him in the past, he just doesn't look like a scorer much to me, and this is a pretty big ask. But yeah, if you're just like going off straight data, like this is honestly like a really, really good bet because this is like probably arguably the best matchup in the league. And yeah, so very strong lean to Pirtle here. Okay, we're approaching the hour thing. Hopefully I didn't bore you guys to death. Hopefully I actually maybe put you guys on with some ways to bet and stuff. I'm gonna be doing this for about an hour every day now, around 8:30, 8:45-ish. So in the morning. So make sure you stay posted for that. Try to be consistent with it, all that good stuff. So yeah, and as always, guys, I'm gonna check Twitter real quick, see if anyone commented on my stuff. Because I know that a lot of people like to join through Twitter. I would probably join through Twitter too. It's just very easy to listen in and stuff. Sorry, where's the wrong thing? I don't think we have any comments, but like I said, any last second comments, feel free to let me hear them. Okay, yep, I don't see anything. Okay. All right, guys. Well, that's going to do it. Appreciate you guys all for tuning in. Hopefully, guys, like I said, hopefully you guys learned something. And yeah, I'll be back doing this pretty much every day, weekday. So yeah, make sure to tune in. Peace out.